He looks like he is dying. Oop is concerned about a class pet snake. I am not op. Original post by U. Classic Grapefruit 473 in R. Ball Python. Quote from this post's title is from this comment on the original post. This is my first time posting to BORU. So let me know if there's anything I can change or add to make the post better. Trigger warnings. Animal suffering, neglect, less than. Mood spoilers. Hopeful, less than. An NBSP. I don't know much about snakes. But this snake at the school that I work at looks awful. Is this normal? January 28, 2023. https preview.red.it/dt100u957t1.jpg width equals 640 and crop equals smart and auto equals web p and v equals enabled and s equals AF5A0 EDFFB0 and 990,709 F18C 87C 9 EB 3795A3 E7 E29D. This guy is unfortunately a class pet. His tank is very small, looks like a 10-gallon, but I'm not sure. There's no cold or hot spot in the tank. The overall temp is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. https preview.red.it/lsr4rt957t1.jpg width equals 640 and crop equals smart and auto equals web p and v equals enabled and s equals 8,888,977,936 DCC 11135 D83F 9724 E12 D 2088 ECA 596. His mouth also doesn't shut. I'm not sure if that's a sign of a respiratory infection. What do you think? An NBSP. Notable comments from other users. Responding to the state of the snake. Oh god, that snake is probably close to death, honestly. That's really sad. This snake is in the worst condition I've ever seen. Quote, I believe this guy is likely going to die. I've honestly seen healthier BPs that were abandoned in parks. This is absolutely shocking. I don't understand how this happens. I can't help but think this was intentional. Because how do you see a snake even half as bad off and not do anything? His face is so swollen. This is heartbreaking, loudly crying. An NBSP. Mod response to OOP. This post has been locked because there's some misleading or outright harmful advice popping up. If you do end up taking this snake into your custody even temporarily, this is the most vital advice you'll need to start rehabilitating them. These are copy-pasta comments for related health problems, so forgive any redundancy. 1. The stuck shed. The shedding guide in our welcome post has a lot of information about the cause and treatment for various shedding problems and general dehydration. Our basic care guide has information about raising and maintaining humidity. If you still need help figuring out how to raise your humidity after reading through these guides, you can fill out our enclosure critique questionnaire for more personalized advice. 2. The open-mouthed breathing is very likely due to a respiratory infection. Here's my respiratory infection copypasta. This treatment can be safely used for a suspected 60% is the bare minimum humidity requirement, and many individual ball pythons need higher humidity than that. Low humidity is the most common cause of RIS in ball pythons. Low humidity leads to dehydration, which causes the mucous membranes to dry out and crack. Bacteria then builds up in the crevices of the irritated membrane and create a respiratory infection. Low temperatures can also contribute to RIS by compromising the snake's immune system. Ball pythons should have a cool side ambient temperature of 7,580 F and a warm side temperature of 8892 F. If you notice any symptoms of an visible discharge in, around the mouth, abnormally frequent yawning, random wheezing, whistling, clicking sounds, open-mouthed breathing, etc. Keep the enclosure's overall humidity at least 70% 80%. A humid hide is also an excellent thing to add to the enclosure. But keep in mind that it is not a replacement for adequate humidity throughout the enclosure. You will find some tips for humidity maintenance in our basic care guide. If you still need help, we can guide you through it if you fill out our enclosure critique questionnaire. To relieve the symptoms of NRE, and hopefully prevent the infection from getting worse, I suggest steam treatments. You'll need 2 plastic storage tubs, a large bowl, and some water. The first tub should be small, but big enough for the snake to fit inside, and the lid should lock to keep the snake contained. Add some air holes to it with a soldering iron, hot knife, or power drill. Side note: this sort of tub is also handy to have as a secure way to contain your snake during enclosure cleanings, transport, etc. The second tub needs to be big enough to fit the small tub plus the bowl. This tub does not need air holes or a locking lid, but it does need a lid to contain the steam. Place the bowl and the small tub inside the big tub. Lock the snake in the small tub. Fill the bowl with boiling water. Then close the lid on the big tub. This will create a little snake sauna, and the small tub will keep your snake safely separated from the hot water. Leave the snake in the sauna for 1020 minutes. Do this once per day until all RE symptoms are completely gone. If symptoms don't drastically decrease within 2 days, if symptoms get worse, or if new symptoms develop, go to the vet ASAP and ask them to do a culture, prescribe any necessary antibiotics. A serious RE needs medication in addition to everything I've suggested here. An untreated RE can kill the snake. An NBSP update on the school pet snake January 30th, 2023. Hey everyone, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone for your amazing feedback on my last post. I wanted to give y'all an update. I talked to the teacher who owns him today as I saw him walking out with the snake in his tank. He said he had an appointment to take the snake to the vet that's a couple hours away, and he said he thinks the snake got sick from a kid. I let him know that the snake most likely got sick from the conditions of the tank, and he actually asked me for advice, which was shocking. Although I am not a snake expert, I gladly sent him links to some websites that I found could really help educate him on proper care and to prevent the snake from hopefully ever getting an infection again. I asked if he plans on bringing the snake back, and he says he plans on keeping it at home for now. He said he wants to learn how to properly care for it better before he brings it back to the class. I made sure to tell him to be more serious about the humidity like you all said, and to make sure he gets a bigger tank. I am just relieved he let me give him some tips without him being weird about it. I told him to send me updates on the snake and maybe some pictures of it if it gets better. Thanks again guys. You all are amazing humans. An NBSP additional comment from Op: I still plan on bringing this up to the principal though. I know he's taking it to the vet, but I just want to bring attention to this to someone higher up to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen again. An NBSP reminder: I am not the original poster. Teacher takes the snake out of the school after Oop shares that it looks to be in bad shape, and they asked Oop for snake care tips? Oh honey. I wonder if the teacher was keeping it at school over the weekend when the AC or heat isn't always on, and that's contributing to the problem. God. My boy Zuko was only a little less sick than this when I took over his care. He'd avoided the RE, but he was so dehydrated that his skin was peeling away where his shed tore. The good news is this snake might still be savable. I managed to save Zuko through many saunas and a complete enclosure overhaul. He thinks the snake got sick from a kid. I don't like that the teacher is keeping it away from school when the snake is sick. Sounds like a good way to keep it in a small tank without other people noticing the neglect. For some reason this story just reminds me of all the girls I know who adopted cats during COVID. While living at college, so many kitties licking their fur off, being extremely vocal, open mouth panting when one stranger comes over. They get so furious when you tell them that no, you cannot keep a 812-pound animal in a 400-square-foot dorm room and expect it to live a happy, healthy, fulfilling life. There's something about the abuse of animals trapped in captivity that absolutely breaks my heart. Why lock up a wild animal if you're just going to slowly kill it with neglect? And it has no recourse to try to get what it needs, which it would be perfectly capable of doing in an ecosystem, because it's entirely trapped. I don't know nothing about snake. What scientist the one in the up has that make it so obvious that is almost dead? I can't imagine that poor neglected snake didn't smell awful. His whole classroom probably reeked like a dying snake. I wonder what the hell he teaches. I bred mice as a kid, so snakes are my natural enemy, but even I wouldn't want that poor beast to suffer anymore. I hope he really did take her to the vet, and not just turned her into a handbag, though that would save the life of countless mice. We had a class pet when I was in 6th grade, 10-11 years old. We had a hedgehog named Sonic. Not original, but Sonic the Hedgehog games were new and popular back then. Hedgehogs have an average life expectancy of 5 years, but some can live to be 8. He was already 5 when my year arrived. My teacher was also a good friend of my mother, so I know he's had hedgehogs, hamsters, guinea pigs, and lots of other small animals as pets for years before this. Anyway, at the beginning of the year we all had to do a big project on how to properly care for hedgehogs, with lots of research showing foods they can and cannot eat, proper handling and what size enclosure they should have, what things should be in it, their typical activity level, etc. It was a big deal because we all wanted to take really good care of him and because each kid got to take him home for the weekend throughout the school year. Obviously not everyone's parents were okay with this, and that was fine. The others who were okay with it just got to have him over more often, which we all loved. At the end of the year he went home with our teacher for the summer and unfortunately passed away. Not long after turning 6, but he was very well cared for his entire life. This was nearly 25 years ago, but it made a really big impression on me. So much so that when my daughter's teacher, grade 3, proposed getting a class hamster, I brought up the project and how we all knew what to do before we were allowed near Sonic, and that it really prepared us for the responsibility of caring for him. She agreed that was a good idea, and the kids all did well on their projects. They got a little black and white hamster and named her Oreo, as most 7-year-olds agree that is the best name for a black and white animal. We hosted Oreo a few times through the year, but the average lifespan of a hamster is only 2 years. So she unfortunately did not return the following year due to the risk of her passing away mid-year. So each class had their own hamster, and there was a wall of photos with all the previous hamsters. When my youngest joined her class 2 years later, she also did the project, and we hosted Biscuit too. A pretty tan-colored hamster that looks like a Biscoff cookie. Class pets can be done, but you need to teach the kids first. That teacher should have been reported to Animal Services Control. Why do they even need a class pet? That poor noodle had been in bad shape for a while. It looks not only sick but also underweight, so probably dehydrated. If that snake is going to have a chance, it needs a lot of TLC and a much bigger, better enclosure. Yet another reason to remember there's no such thing as an easy pet. It's pretty much a given if anyone asks about if their tank pen habitat is too small for their pet. It probably is.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.